Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the space on Friday here. I appreciate everybody joining us. I was throwing
Hi,
some mics out.
guys.
Hello.
Hello,
Welcome back.
everyone. Happy
Great to be
Friday.
here.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about this week. We missed last week, but we're back and we brought some new people joining us on the panel, experts in lots of things. Blaine, and of course, AP's always been around, and I appreciate so much to help add to this conversation because there's just so much. And Alan, I apologize, Alan, too, and because I need all the help I can get to kind of spread it around some. So thank you all for coming. Welcome. And we're trying a few new things because it's been a little difficult to get everybody together on each Friday. So we're going to test out a couple new formats. And first, we're going to start out with trying to be faster and make sure we stick to an hour. So I'm going to try hard not to start rambling, so we can help everybody get back to their day, and those of you who are overseas, so that you can go to sleep finally. But thank you for hanging in here with us. But we're going to just do that. And please, thank you for coming and show some love on the emojis. Drop any information you have in the chat, questions you have, products or something like that you want to highlight or you want us to talk about or have a question about. Put it in there so that we can have that. So we're going to have, a couple of different ways we do this. And then we'll have, like, Matt can't be here today, but he'll be here in a couple weeks. And we'll just kind of do it like that. If nothing else, I want to have something every Friday for even like 30 minutes just to kind of like chat with whoever's available to come and talk. And we just go over a few things of the week. And then we'll have some bigger guests coming from, different brands or different tools that are being used. They'll be coming in the future. So we do have a lot of stuff lined up, and there's always something happening. So thank you. And Salma and Taylor are co-hosting today. Thank you. I appreciate that. How is everybody?
Hey, I'm good. I'll chime in.
Thank you, Blaine. Thank you. Well, Blaine has like the list of every topic, everything that he's tested this week. So it's really helpful because I was thinking we might just like kind of go down the list and just do like a quick few minutes on each thing. We have an agenda, but we can just kind of start and get through that so we can get moving. What do you guys think?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. So first up, and I'm going by I was looking at your notes, Blaine, real fast, and I appreciate Salma gets us a nice agenda. I really appreciate that. But the biggest news this week, I guess it started out with Adobe, right? With the Premiere Pro and the AI in there. And
Yeah. Yeah, I think that kind of caught everybody off guard, I think everybody's been, we haven't had a lot of information about Sora to begin with, about how it's going to be priced, and we still don't. But seeing that that as well as Runway and Peak are going to be integrated, I don't want, I'm going to say game changing, but that word gets used a whole lot. But it's interesting, if nothing else, because we've seen, that Runway has like partnerships with like Canva and things like that, where you just get a membership and then you get access to the tool, and it kind of begs the question, how's Adobe going to go about this? Do you need a separate subscription? Are you going to just pay through Adobe, be able to unlock it? Is it going to come with Creative Cloud? I mean, there's still a lot of questions to be answered, but you know it's interesting seeing Adobe throw their weight around and integrate with three different platforms that don't even have an API. Where Stability, they have an API and they're not they're not part of this. But I guess when you can do that, you as a company you do that to get a competitive edge.
yeah, I don't really use Premiere Pro much, but the others that are here, Alan and AP and Salma, Taylor, go ahead and chime in. What do you think? Because the way they threw the Sora thing in there was kind of like at the last, part of it, kind of like, wait a minute, is that what it really said? But what do you think about it overall, even without Sora?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about it. It's really what I've wanted from these tools. It's great that we have access to all these tools, but I hate having to jump around to 10 different platforms to do one simple thing. And I've always said that whoever is the first player that pulls all of this stuff into a usable UI is going to be the one that wins, right? And I've always thought Adobe's going to be that person. I think I said this on a previous space. You know, so many creatives are used to Adobe, whether it's filmmakers, artists, whatever it happens to be, that as soon as they feel comfortable using AI because it's inside of Adobe, the creativity that we're going to see is going to explode, and I think we're going to see a lot of the AI hate start to die down, um, and and again for us creating, again we don't need to jump around anymore. That's what I want. My workflow is going to speed up so much, so I'm really excited. We'll see what happens with Sora. I just a hunch. Um, it's it's probably going to be pretty expensive to use Sora. We're probably going to have to separate subscriptions. Obviously, you're going to pay your Adobe, which is not cheap, and then you're going to pay. I have to imagine a pretty substantial fee to OpenAI to use Sora. I mean, just look at Stable Diffusion 3. Even though that API is relatively cheap, it's still kind of expensive, right? I think it's like 6 cents an image. So um, if you're paying that to generate an image on an open source, supposedly open source platform, um, just think about what you're going to do to generate a 30-second video on Sora.
Yeah, that's a good point. The yeah, we were talking about subscriptionization and how much these tools cost, but yeah, that will be pretty interesting. And even with Runway too, that would be because it's already a separate, significant amount, for people to get the subscription to have enough to do much with it. So I don't know. What do you think, AP? Are you able to talk?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I think Adobe's sort of like masterfully navigating all these like innovations by making them essentially have to go into their platform, right? Um, because I guess like Pika, when they were like pitching to whoever they were pitching, they probably like came across as like the Adobe killer, right? And so Adobe's like, oh, you're not really the killer. We'll just like plug you in and make you like a feature of our ecosystem. So yeah, I think like Adobe's handling it very well, and I hope that like in the end it's better for like the prosumer or like whoever's using the tool, right? Like I think that's probably how it's going to end up going. But again, like Adobe's like so like I don't know if I feel like the times I've used an Adobe subscription, they like try to like charge you so crazy for it. So I don't really know what it's going to look like, at least in terms of the pricing. But I guess we'll see, right? But I think it's a step in the right direction, with like getting more controllability. Because like yeah, sorry to ramble a little bit, but right now a lot of the things are like a giant black box. You send like text or image into it and you get something out, and like maybe you got to do like 10 to 50 of them to get like one usable one. So hopefully this just takes us to the path of getting something useful and into like production grade quality. Yeah, that's sort of what I think about it.
Well, that's helpful too. I mean, it's something, and it's kind of like it's not here yet, right? We don't have any idea when it will be implemented, right? And am I wrong? I can't remember. Did they say when?
Yeah, they kept it vague. They kept it vague.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So just another thing for us to look forward to and speculate, I guess. But well,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I'll just add real quick. I mean, I think one of the most exciting parts of it for me is, you look at what Pika does from like an in painting standpoint and what Sora is kind of promised to do, and they've kind of demoed. And then you think about, having your actual project in Premiere that you're working on, and you're like, you know what? I just want to change this one thing on this one person, right? And you don't have to like export the single clip and upload it and then paint it and download it, right? It's all there, right? I mean, potentially you're just prompting for that one scene to change the guy's shirt or give him a hat or, whatever that might be. And I mean, that just sounds crazy awesome to me. It's like living in the future.
Let me ask you, do you think that it'll be, when it happens, it'll be more accepted in the business community, or more like, professionals versus just us here making things, creators?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just chime in. I say yes. I mean, look at Genfil. I mean, how often do you see uh, kind of quote unquote AI hater kind of rambling on one of the social media networks about Genfil. It never happens, right? Because they're all actually using it, whether they want to admit it or not. So the same thing's going to happen in Premiere Pro. Once you can use that in painting feature, you're not going to hear a peep about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it'll probably be across the board, and probably more so in the business world. Well, that's pretty good. All right, well, thank you. And I guess what is next? Meta, the Llama 3. Who wants to cover that? Taylor?
Oh, I wasn't going to cover Llama 3. I just wanted to add on one more thing to kind of your last question that you posed there, Heather, which is I like big brands are already starting to really like test AI generated content as well. And so like the overall perception is definitely there around the fact that it's, it's in play, and like there are various ways to create it. But then I think the fact that all these tools are going to be integrated now into Premiere is such a big deal, because it, like I think Alan, you said, it's like nobody's going to even second guess it at this point as the creative who has to do the heavy lifting and do the actual editing. Like it's such a lifesaver, and it's going to be such a game changer for so many people who now don't have to jump through 12 other loopholes to do otherwise what they would be doing anyways. It's just they can do it right there. So I think it's actually a genius move from Adobe's part to open this integration to not only like OpenAI, but all of these other tools as well. Because it makes sense, and it's definitely favors the user preferences, I think, for streamlining things. So it's nice to see us moving in that direction. But that's all I wanted to add.
No, thank you. That helps a lot because you do have a lot of experience with dealing with that, and I appreciate it. So who's covering Llama 3? Who's gonna?
I'd be happy to. I don't want
Yeah,
to
thank
monopolize
you.
though.
Oh, please do. I mean, unless somebody else wants to go.
Yeah.
Thank
Well, I'll
you.
start out and then someone else can jump in. But I think it's pretty exciting. The new Llama 3, both the 70 billion and the what is it, the 8 billion parameter models are really good. I mean, they're testing out really good. I think I saw one of the most recent benchmarks just for the 8 billion model, and it surpasses GPT 3.5, which is aging a little bit now. I think it's 14, 15 months since that was out, but I mean that was like revolutionary when it came out, and now you can run this easily on hardware that's not even that powerful, because these 8 billion parameters don't require like super high end computers. Now, like the 70 billion parameter one, you need decent specs, but I've ran both of them, and I've been really impressed with the results that I've kind of tested in there. I have like a series of different questions and nerdy stuff that I ask things like this to kind of do my own little benchmarks. But if anyone wants to test it, though, what's cool is I don't know how many people know about this, but Hugging Face has their Hugging Chat platform, which is free, and they put the 70 billion parameter Llama 3 instruct model on there, so you can just go there, sign in, and enable that model and just use it without downloading anything. And we could probably pin that link to the chat or something if you want me to, but might be fun for folks to try out for free.
So is that different than what's available on Meta AI? I was on there earlier. Is that just the Meta? That's Llama, not Llama 3?
No, it's probably the same thing. I haven't used it via Meta's hosted site yet, but they do. They do also host it, but it's Meta who trained that model, so it could be very similar. Honestly, the using it on a hosted site is nice and easy, but I get more excited about the fact that I can download these offline and just run them locally. I run a lot of things locally, and I just everything from video stuff to imagery and stable diffusion and all that stuff. So that I kind of nerd out about being able to do that kind of stuff because it still blows my mind.
And when you use it on Hugging Face, you don't have to log in like with the Meta. You don't. It doesn't involve the Facebook because I use it on the Meta AI site, and I didn't log in through Facebook because I just don't want to mess with Facebook. And it said it won't save your chats and things like that. So that was the only difference with it. It worked pretty well, but if you want to save the chat, you got to log in with your Facebook. So if you're using a Hugging Face, it's just like using it locally anyway, right?
Yeah, similar, except it's just, I believe you do have to sign in with your Hugging Face account, but I feel like that's a little less risky than signing in with your Facebook account. They're going to probably look at everything you type and then try to make ad revenue from it or something. Who knows?
Yeah, that's kind of why I didn't want to. I'm like, no, I haven't used the Meta AI, what's it called, Imagine or whatever for the animation and even for the image generation. I still haven't used it because of that. Has anyone else been using it? Test it out?
Well, I've tried to test it out today actually, but it's not available in the UK, it seems like. But I'm going to check out the Hugging Face one. But interested to know, how does it compare with like Claude and GPT?
Well, the biggest difference for me, I guess the downside of it is the context window is still fairly limited. I mean, I think it's like 8,000, whatever, um, context window as opposed to like Claude 2, which is just, what is that, like at 200,000 or something now? So depending on what you're trying to do, you might not have the context window that you would have like a GPT-4, but it's they trained it, I think, on 15 trillion tokens or something, which is I think 3 times what Llama 2 was. So its ability to interact and give you accurate responses and maybe not use the word delve as much. I don't know. I think it's those things have gotten better, but for a local model, it's one of the better ones you can get.
AP, go ahead. Did you have something to say?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that I think it's really interesting too because they sort of teased out a 400 billion parameter model that essentially is on par with Claude Opus, right? And so it has like a lot of the like venture capital and like investment world sort of like up in arms of like, what are like the implications here is like Meta just on this like path of destroying all the LLM players and making sure they can't make any money by like open sourcing all of this. Which actually I think might be their plan, right? Because they want to do that so they can just benefit entirely in like the advertisement and like social media space. Um, so yeah, it's just been really interesting to see that side of things. I think like a lot of like people are reevaluating like the just like business landscape with like Meta just coming in like blazing guns, like scorched earth, releasing these open source models. It's like really fascinating to see.
Is it multimodal? Like, can you upload images
I believe they're going to release some soon. They said, I think if I remember correctly, they said they were going to release some soon,
and
but not right
document?
now. Yeah.
Or okay, huh? Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's true. That would be wild if they monopolized that. But well, what about Stable Diffusion API or Stable Diffusion's SD3 and everything that's happening with that? What what is the biggest thing people need to know?
Um, yeah, I mean, maybe I can talk a little bit about it. I've been kind of off the map of like SD3. I know they just released like their API. Um, but like, yeah, like people are sort of like feeling mixed about it. Like, it's really great, but it's also really expensive. And then yeah, like they're kind of being like hand wavy about if they're going to open source the model, which I completely get, right? Because they got to make money, they got to survive. Um, but yeah, like they just announced the SC3 API. But yeah, it's like locked away in a box somewhere, and you can't access it. Like open weights at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a weird situation to me. I mean, it's everybody's traditionally looked at Stability AI as being like this pioneer with the open source community, but they don't really have a great uh, business model at this point for actually making money. So you really can't blame them. But at the same time, like I was playing around with there's a Comfy node that ties into the API for and uses the stability SD3 API for Turbo and the standard SD3 and but part of me is like, well, the whole reason I use Comfy is because it's local. I don't want to be thinking about spending 6 cents every time I hit the generate button, right? I mean, um, But to test it out, I'll do that. I think they give you maybe 25 cents, like a quarter that would do for free or something. But it's interesting, and I haven't tested enough to make personal recommendations other than just some really generic quick testing. But from what I've seen from others is, it's since it is a base model, right? If you guys recall some of the other base models, whether there was SDXL or even back with SD, 1.5, those base kind of checkpoints were pretty garbage, right? I mean, they were like average at best. Like most people that use Stable Diffusion don't use those base models. They use, custom train models, that folks have trained themselves, right? And those get really, really good. And so when you're looking at like SDXL, for instance, there's some just fantastic checkpoints out there that look way better than what the base model of SD3 looks like, but the base model of SD3 looks better than the base model of SDXL, if that makes sense. So I think we won't really see huge improvements until if or when they release, the actual, uh, weights and those sorts of things, so that folks can start training their own SD3, models and sharing those.
I have a question. So does that mean that they won't be releasing their open weights?
Well, I don't really know, and I don't know if maybe I've missed it. I did some searching earlier. I would assume that they would eventually, just because that's their history is they tend to always release this stuff. But I mean, maybe I think they've got some new leadership and stuff too, so I think it's a little bit up in the air. I don't know if anyone else on the panel knows what the plan is there, or if there's been any announcements.
Yeah, I think like I've heard some rumors that, for sure they're gonna do you gotta use the paid plan to like use it. Like if you're gonna be doing it for like commercial work or whatever, if you're just gonna just use it, it's like $20 a month. But yeah, I heard, well, I probably shouldn't spread like false rumors, but yeah, I heard they're gonna charge like $20 a month to use it, to like have access and have that license.
Do you think I was reading where they laid off several employees, a good portion of the staff? So do you think that's unfortunate, number one, and how that will play for how some of this stuff is implemented, or how they get to these points when they can release more?
Yeah, I think like from like a business, like just fundamental viewpoint, they're in a very difficult position. Like they're sort of burning a lot of cash, and they got to get to the valuation that they raised at, which was like I think $1 billion. And again, they're trying to figure out like their business model. Like, if you think of stability, I don't really know what their business model is, right? Like even with the API selling, like it doesn't seem like that has like insane like fit, right? Like people aren't just like waiting for the next stability API as they are like the next GPT-5 API, right? So yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, very
Yeah, and I
unfortunate.
think if I'm going off memory here, but I think that wasn't it just a couple weeks ago that I mean there was like a lot of news that dropped around their CEO getting ousted or something, and then a bunch of people left. I personally think that Elon should come in and just buy them and keep it open source. They don't have to our knowledge, we don't have an image. They don't have an image model in Grok yet, and that's be pretty cool opportunity. But that's just me.
Well, speaking of Grok, I was going to ask. It got Vision this week, right? But I tried to use it and I wasn't able to do anything. It actually wasn't working at all for me. It told me to try again later. So, has anybody had any luck with Grok?
I forget about Grok, honestly. Like I
Yeah,
always, I'll see somebody post about it, like, oh yeah, there's Grok. I should try that again sometime.
yeah. I saw something about it. They introduced Vision, so I assumed that meant that we could upload images or documents. But
Yeah,
um,
typically that means it can, look at stuff and respond to it and understand what it's looking at. But I have
we'll
not tried it.
we'll get off of that before we get deboosted here or something. But that was interesting. But um, well, what about? I guess last week we weren't here, and Udio came out. So it's like seems like the when I started posting about that, people kept saying it's not as good as Suno and stuff. So I was wondering for people who use both of them more frequently, or they're making more songs than I do. What do you think about the pros and cons of each one. Which one, like, what do you, how are you feeling about Udio and Suno? Anybody?
Who's
Yeah,
used it? I've used it quite a bit, but um, Alan, have you?
yeah. I was just gonna say I like I think Udio, however you say it's better. It does feel like it got nerfed recently. At least maybe that's because there's so many people on the server. I don't know if they toned down what they were doing, but um, the, I feel like the first couple hours when I first got in there before it was a big wave, it was really impressive.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I think for me, it's almost like shorter, like 30-second versions of songs. It's almost like the clarity in Udio is better, like the vocals. But I feel like I have more success in Suno overall. Like if I'm making an extended version, I don't know what it is. It's almost like when you extend, and I like the fact that Udio lets you extend before or after, but it's almost like it's a separate song or something sometimes. I don't know. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, but I tend to just fall back to Suno, I think, because I've used it so much more and had a lot of success with it. I feel like I've figured out all the knobs to turn and twist, whereas it feels like a little bit more of a blind dartboard with Udio for me, but um, that's just personal experience.
I got to test Udio before it was released, and I didn't really know what to do with it because I don't really use the music generators that much, and I didn't really. I was making songs with the lyrics, and I like it better for the soundtracks or just the instrumental or doing things like that. But I'm not also not very good with prompting for music to get what I want it to get. But yeah, I know what you're saying too about when you extend it, it's kind of tricky. Sometimes it sounds like a different song, but sometimes it just sounds like the same song. Even if I change the prompt, you can change the prompt for the extension. But yeah, it was at first when they first launched, it was kind of locked up. But then it got a little bit better, and it seems like in the recent days, it's been getting a little bit easier to make music. So I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely fun having these tools. I mean, and I love the fact that there's a competitor, like a worthy competitor, because now these guys, I'm sure that when that dropped, Suno was like, all right, we got to engineers get on version 4. You got to get this thing going. We've got a worthy competitor out there because they didn't really have anybody for a while. I mean, there's a couple others that did a decent job. I think like Splash, whatever that Splash Pro or whatever that was called was not too bad, but it's exciting. I mean, it's just you imagine like a year ago there was nothing that was even remotely usable from an audio standpoint, and now we've got people making all kinds of hilarious songs, right? Like I think that's the funnest part about it. It's almost like memes, but for music. Just hilarious lyrics and those sorts of things.
Well, go ahead, AP and Aziz. I went ahead and gave you the mic. I know you've been doing quite a bit with it, with Suno and Udio, correct?
Hi everyone. Yes, I am working on Suno and Udio, and actually I was comparing the benefits between both of them, and I found that I am specifically working with a cappella and beatboxing. So I found that the cappella and beatboxing was very nice with Suno and nothing to do with the audio. Not that very much clear, and it's not working fine like Suno. So my experience was very good with specifically with Suno. It was very good.
So you're going to stick with Suno for the most part.
Yes, for sure. I'm working with it, and imagine that every time I work with it, I'm satisfied with the results, and it was stunning, really.
Well, thank you for sharing that part because yeah, everybody's making different types of music with these tools, so it's kind of hard. I guess it depends on what you're doing with it. AP, did you have something to add?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that like from what I've heard, a lot of people do think that like Suno's better than Udio, but Udio like from what I've heard has like different mechanisms to get to like the music. Meaning, I think I honestly haven't played with it, but I've heard there's like prompt waiting and like ways that you can do sort of things like that. But yeah, generally, I've heard like what Aziz says that like Suno is just better. But yeah, that's just kind of what I've heard.
But Suno does like you get some free. Not if I'm not mistaken, right? Or do you have to pay for a subscription?
I think now you can use Suno like the latest model for free. Before it was like paywalled, and like I have used Suno. Like I paid for it for like a month, and I thought it was like great. The only thing I don't like though is like once your subscription ends, they take away your credits, and I like always hate when apps do that. But I mean, can't hate the player.
Yeah, absolutely. And oh, Matt, thanks for joining us. If you got a minute, I appreciate it. And anything you want to add? We were talking about Suno versus Udio. Before that, Stability AI. What's going on with that? And Meta. We were talking about Llama 3 and the image generator. And I think that's, Premiere Pro and the news with Adobe. Anything that, you want to add to it? I appreciate it.
No, I mean, it sounds good. It sounds like you guys covered the majority of what's going on this week. I just kind of hopped in and have been hearing the tail end of the Suno Udio discussion. Just funny, I actually had a call with one of the founders of Udio just this morning. But yeah, the funny thing is everybody's talking about Udio right now. Actually, I asked the guy on the call. I was like, "Okay, is it Udio? Is it audio without the a? Like, how do you pronounce it?" And he said
Thank you.
internally, everybody at the company calls it Udio. So literally everybody I've heard talking about it so far has been saying it wrong, but at the company they call it Udio. But he said Will I Am, who's on their board, still calls it Udio. So he said it doesn't really matter. But internally, it's actually called Udio. But I've actually kind of enjoyed the outputs of Suno better. I've used them both, but for whatever reason, like I feel like the music that's coming out of Suno right now is still like more pleasing to my ears. I've been working in Suno videos to my YouTube video, or Suno music into my YouTube videos and things like that lately. And yeah, I don't know. I think Udio is really cool, really good, but I still think Suno has a leg up on it with the enjoyment of the music, where Udio has a leg up on the realism of it. I feel like you can generate a song with Udio, listen to it, and go, man, if I just heard this, I wouldn't realize that it was made with AI. Suno, you can listen to a song and go, okay, that kind of sounds like AI. They sort of blurred their words together. It can't even say the words AI. It always like tries to pronounce AI as like one word, I or whatever. But even though you can tell it's AI, in my opinion, I still think the music part sounds better. It's more enjoyable. I tend to bob my head to it a little bit more. But that's just my personal opinion. I think eventually they'll both sort of catch up to each other. But yeah, I mean, as far as everything you guys have been talking about, I guess just keep the discussion going, and I'll jump in where I have some thoughts.
Go ahead, Taylor, AP. Or Taylor first.
I know we haven't gotten into it yet, but I would love to dissect all the juicy details around the Humane AI pin launch and slash review cycle that's been going down, because kind of across the board. Well, does anyone have we talked about that yet? I'm sorry, Heather.
No,
if
that was
I missed
actually next on
early
the
on.
list.
Okay.
It was actually next on the list, so go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, as many of you guys know, if you're in the AI space at all, the first real big rounds of reviews of the AI pin are coming to light. And they're not exactly great. A lot of the big reviews that have come out, from like the Washington Post, The Verge, MKBHD, have all kind of slammed this new generation piece of technology as being really underwhelming, not worth your money, all of this. But one of the things that I like find really interesting about this entire, I don't know, this entire campaign around how how the AI pin was kind of like hyped up to be this really exciting thing, and then it sort of like fell flat, is just number one, how much influence truly everyone who's talking about it has. Because if any of you have watched MKBHD's review, you might be like, wow, that was pretty scathing. And so, of course, that sort of spiraled into a lot of other chatter and conversation about it. But also, I think just the positioning, the how Humane really like marketed and positioned this pin, I think kind of missed the mark, because they had an opportunity, I think, to level set expectations early on. And I think one creator mentioned that it's really exciting to be in a time where, you know, first generation technology that's literally category defining like this, you know, wearable tech has always kind of been a thing over the last decade, but integrating AI into that is just the next level. And so in many ways it is, you know, first generation, and there are going to be many kinks to work out. There are going to be many bugs and issues. And I think that if Humane kind of went about it from that perspective and didn't slap a $700 price tag on it, those reviews might be very different. But for what it's worth, it's just interesting to see kind of what the first real big social perception of this new wearable AI pin is. So feel free to add on to that. Go ahead, AP.
I think Aziz had his hand up, had their hand up first. If you want to go first, Aziz.
No, it's fine. I didn't raise my hand. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm on the web, so it's a little buggy. But okay, so yeah, I mean, my perspective of it is that I feel like this is true for what I'm about to say is true for the in general, like just AI space, is that there's been a lot of like hype, right? And so now that it's like time for things to come into play, or like time for them to be used, like it's nowhere near where the hype was, right? And it's the same for like Devin, right? Like where Devin came out and like they promised like the next software engineer, and then everybody was like freaking out, like, oh no, like software engineers are over, like, you know, this thing's gonna come and disrupt the market, and like, you know, a whole YouTube video came out and they're like, Devin's making problems and fixing the problems that it's making, right? So like, so to tie it back to the Humane pin, I think it's sort of like the same thing, right? Where like they promise this like amazing thing that's gonna like, you know, have to, or that will replace your phone, but in reality, like that doesn't happen overnight, right? Like Apple spent so many years just trying to perfect the smartphone. And so yeah, I my personal like feel of it and like gut check is that it's like that is like the perfect encapsulation of what's happening right now with like Gen AI all over the map, with like all this hype and then like the usefulness not being nearly on par with where the hype is. So yeah, that's kind of like been my take.
That's a good point to make too. Go ahead, Salma.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add to that. One thing I do struggle with the AI pins is the utility. Is there really a need, like a real need for it? And again, like with what Taylor said about the positioning, I do wonder if they positioned it as a pin for like, I don't know, like blind people, so some sort of pin that assists them to get around. I feel like that would have been potentially a better positioning than, you know, like just having what they, I mean, it's a really well designed pen, but the thing that I really struggled with even before they released the product was the utility. Like, is there a real need for an AI pen?
I think that's a big part of the one of the real big pain points I think that people are highlighting with it too in their reviews, is that it's like it can do the things that your phone can do, sure, but like it's attached to you and it takes a little while longer. There's maybe some delays, and then also it's not as accurate. And so the general perception that I got after watching some reviews and reading through it is that it's just, the vision of it is great, you know, like have a piece of tech that you can wear around and it's integrated with all of these cool AI features, and it kind of can be your own personal assistant, literally a part of your body. But I think that practically, and like you said, Salma, utility, as a utility use case, it's like the iPhone does all of these things for us already. It does them faster and at a moment's notice. And if we're used to kind of having like that experience with a product in the palm of our hand, it definitely, I think, adjusts expectations a little bit. So I think it's fascinating.
I did see like the Meta Ray-Bans. So Matt and I got like coffee like on Wednesday, and he brought like the Meta Ray-Bans, and those were actually like pretty cool. And so yeah, Matt was telling me how like those run like Llama 2 like in the background, right? So I think my personal like opinion is that like the next generation of things maybe won't look like the Humane AI pin, but what it's going to look like is some type of like form factor being like some device, or maybe it is a Humane AI pin, right? But it's like running those things locally, like inside of the chips in whatever thing that is, right? It's like running it on the edge. It's not running it like through the cloud, because when you start running it through the cloud and doing APIs, it's like so slow. Like with the Humane AI pin, like you have to have like near perfect like internet connection, right? So that's my personal take. Yeah. So yeah, seeing those Ray-Ban glasses were like pretty cool. Made me want a pair. Um, yeah.
I want those. I wonder, Matt,
Yeah,
can you talk about those at all?
now I
I
want
mean,
to see them.
yeah, the Ray-Ban glasses they're pretty cool. You know, they don't have any of the like heads-up display, augmented reality, any of that kind of stuff built into them. The lenses in them are just normal sunglass lenses, or you can get them in transition lenses. Uh, but what's cool about the glasses, the feature that I use the most is honestly just the camera, right? It's nice to have just kind of a camera strapped to your head that nobody really knows is there. So I've used that quite a few times when I'm out on like trips or something and I see like a cool view. I'll just kind of press a button on my glasses and it'll take a picture. But the current model does actually use Llama 2, but it still needs to be connected to your phone, right? So it's not actually doing any of the processing in the glasses. It's Bluetooth to your phone. When you ask a question to the glasses, it uses the processing and the internet connection on your phone to, you know, go to a cloud version of Llama somewhere, ask the question, and come back. So you still kind of get that same delay that you might get with the pin. I just think the form factor is a little bit better because, you know, people wear sunglasses all the time. People don't wear little mini iPhone size things strapped to their shirt all the time. I just think it's a better form factor for what they're doing. With the AI pin, I think you guys nailed it with what the biggest problem with it was. I think the biggest problem was how they angled it. They kind of angled it as this is the AI thing that's going to replace the phone. This is going to replace your smartphone. If you have this, you know, it costs $700 and $25 a month, but you can leave your phone at home and this will, you know, text for you and call for you, and you can get the weather in time on the little projector on your hand. And I don't really think anybody wanted that. I don't really think anybody cared about that. I do think the gadget itself is really cool. It's well designed. You know, Imran from Humane, you know, used to work at Apple, so he's got that like sort of Apple design eye. So it's got that Apple look and feel to it. But the angle of it being a replacement for the phone, I think, is where the downfall was a little bit. I think if they had angled it as like a cool gadget for, you know, speakers on stage who, you know, can't remember their lines, they can look at their hand real quick and it'll remind them of their lines on their hand or something like that. You know, if they angled it as more of a different use case than a replacement for a smartphone, I think, you know, it wouldn't have gotten the reviews that it got from people like MKBHD and from Mr. Who's the Boss and The Verge and all these places that reviewed it, because they were reviewing it with the context of this is something they're claiming is going to replace your smartphone. Had they been reviewing it in the context of this is a cool gadget that you can strap to your shirt, it's connected to the internet and can display stuff on your hand really quickly with a projector, but not necessarily a smartphone replacement, you know, that change in context of what the device was designed for would have probably completely dramatically different reviews. So that's just my kind of random thoughts on it.
I wanted to ask you, Matt, how do you control Llama on the Ray Bans without your hands? Like, how do you do anything or put in a prompt?
So it's, you know, just kind of like Siri or something. You actually say, "Hey Meta," and that's like your code phrase to get them to start listening. So in the same way, if your phone's in view, your iPhone's in view, and you say, "Hey Siri," it pops up. You just say, "Hey Meta, what am I looking at right now?" And if you've got that Meta Vision model built in, your your little camera on your glasses will take a picture of whatever it sees, run it into its vision model, figure out what it's looking at, and then give you the response. I used them when I was out on vacation in the Grand Canyon, and I was with my kids, and I was wearing my sunglasses out there, and we were looking out over the Grand Canyon, and one of my kids is like, "I wonder how far across that is." And I went, "Let me ask. Hey Meta, how far across is the Grand Canyon?" And it came back with some details for me. So it's kind of a fun like novelty thing, but to be quite honest, I haven't used the large language model on my glasses too often. I'm mostly just using it for like the camera features, and every once in a while I'll be like, "Oh yeah, this has a language model in it that I can ask questions," but I almost never think of it.
Oh, that's fun. No, thank you. I just was thinking about that. I didn't even really think about the voice commands because I'm like, I know it doesn't connect with the eye, the vision, right? But I jumped too far ahead.
It does have a button on the side too. So I feel awkward just being out in public saying, "Hey Meta," and then just asking questions to seemingly nobody and looking like I'm talking to myself. So usually, if I'm going to ask a question, there is a button on the little, I don't know what you call it, the arm of the sunglasses. If you press and hold the button, it will actually open up the microphone so that you can talk to the LLM as well. But you can just say, "Hey Meta," and it will listen.
Well, since I have you here too, I'm looking at your list of topics and I see we forgot a few things, but I wanted to bring up Microsoft, the VASA one. If anyone has thoughts on that, it doesn't look like they're going to be releasing that. I don't think, right?
Yeah, that one, it's typical Microsoft, right? I mean, they do like a really cool technology demo. I remember, what was it, like a year ago, maybe more, they showed off like their voice cloning, that they said this is so dangerous, we can't do this, and it clones your voice in like 3 seconds or 15 seconds or something, right? Um, and how here they're saying the same thing, which, I mean, they're not wrong, right? I mean, if anybody's seen the videos of what they're kind of showing as far as being able to like animate a portrait, and you compare it to some of the other animate portrait things that are open source and stuff, it's like next level, really good. I think the exciting thing about it is I feel like with AI, there's these kind of these little mini, Roger Bannister moments, if you will, where like you see either a technology demo or somebody will, release, video, but they won't release the code, right? They'll just kind of show a demo, and then before long, you've got these really enterprising developers that go and remake or reverse engineer, what they saw, because they saw that it was possible, and that's what's pretty exciting to me. So whether Microsoft does it or not, I mean, I can imagine it'd be more than a few months before somebody's got something just as good.
Go ahead, AP.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I don't think they would open source it. I don't think they would like release it open weights, or like even potentially maybe in a product if they really can lock down like the user experience and make sure it's not being used maliciously. Um, I think it's mainly just like a show of force, like we can do this. Like don't be, hey, like VCs don't go invest in like these startups for these things because like we're just gonna like obliterate them, right? Same thing with like Llama 3, where like yeah, as I mentioned, like Nvidia's down like 10% today, probably because people are starting to realize that like LLMs are starting to become commoditized. So, maybe there won't be as many players as they thought consuming these GPUs to like go and train like these foundational models. So yeah, I think like it's almost like a little bit of like show of force, like what we can do, just keeping up like with the research implementations of it. Yeah, the whole like landscape of Gen AI is starting to become really interesting. Again, I think a lot of it is like a lot of the hype is starting to get sucked out, and it's like, okay, like can you actually deliver now? Can you actually deliver value? Do you have a use case that you're doing something for? Because yeah, and I mean like without getting too technical, like interest rates are high, right? Like it's time to perform. So yeah, I'm getting a sense of that. Like I've been reading some things on like various like financial articles, like Financial Times posting out articles where that's what's that's what a lot of the Wall Street people are looking at right now, and a lot of like the VCs. So yeah, curious what you all think there.
Yeah, it
Maybe I
seems
rambled
like
on too much.
no, it's okay. And so we're down to the last 10 minutes, so that's a good point to kind of just close on. Is what are you excited about, or what are you interested in for the week ahead, or in the coming weeks? And if we were talking about in our chat about how things are different now with the public's interest in Gen AI is kind of different. I wonder if people are just kind of used to seeing things, and this has become normal where people saw Sora and now they figure that AI video will look like that pretty soon across the board or for these different tools. So I was wondering, what are you all thinking about? What are you interested in for the next week? I'll just go around. Alan, I've heard you want to. What are you interested in this week?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's still video. I mean, that's what I enjoy. I still got to dive into some more tools. I still got to check out LTX Studio some more. I played with it a little bit, but I think I can get a better product than what I'm getting at the moment. So I got to dive back in. I think as far as the AI community, I think it's an oversaturation of tools. I mean, there's just too much to play with at the moment and not enough time. So I think you're just seeing people getting very, very siloed into what they enjoy, and they're not kind of reaching out to try everything because they just don't have the time to do it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are being missed because these products that have multiple uses, people don't know that they can do that because how can you possibly get to try it or see, if we write about it or something, it kind of gets lost in the noise. Well, let me see. Taylor, what are you excited about this week?
Well, okay, so it maybe this week, but I'm just in this era in general of air chat. I don't know if anyone is on air chat yet,
Thank you
but
for
it
bringing that
is
up. I forgot.
it is a lot of fun, and it's kind of just it's sort of, I don't know, come out of nowhere, it feels like. And I think one of the founders or builders of it, if I'm not mistaken, is Naval, who is many of us know Naval Ravikant here on Twitter. He's written a lot of amazing stuff. Um, it's a really interesting new social platform. It's kind of a mixture between X, Twitter, and Clubhouse, if I had to describe it. And it's like you can use your voice to create basically like voice memos, but they are transcribed, and you can also hear the person. You can hear the person's voice when when you're scrolling through the timeline. So it's a very kind of like interesting novel concept. It makes a lot more sense when you just get into it and see it. But if you're like a person who loves to do voice notes, like I do, a lot of my communications are just a quick voice note rather than texting. It's kind of like that, but as a social but very easy to navigate platform. So I've been kind of like hanging out over there and just catching a vibe and trying to see what it's like, and if this is just going to be another one of those apps that pops up and then dies off like Be Real or Clubhouse. But I straddle this space of like social media and people and creative and technology and the way that it all comes together to basically drive this like culture of innovation that we all love. And so I'm keeping an eye on it, of course, keeping an eye over here on X as well. So that's what I'm excited about over the next week.
Cool. And so it's a platform. It's not an app. It's a platform, and it's free, I guess. When you said Clubhouse, I was wondering, it doesn't require invitation or anything like
It's an
that.
app. No, I think it did require invitation at one point, but it's available. It's also an app. I don't know if it's available. I actually haven't used it at all on desktop, so I don't know if it's available on desktop. I have it on my phone. But you can go into like the app store and download it. Air chat is just all one word. This isn't sponsored. This is just me chatting about this cool new thing. So definitely, like, if that is something that you're into, you should check it out.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And Matt, what are you looking forward to this week or in the coming weeks?
It's a good question. All of it. I like it all. No, I'm one of those people who does love to play with like every AI tool that comes across and at least give it a few minutes. I'm on AirChat as well. I've been on AirChat playing around with that a little bit, joining some of the discussions. That's been pretty cool. My favorite toy of the moment has been Vigil. I've been playing with Vigil so much, going and finding funny meme videos or even hunting story blocks for like stock videos where somebody's like doing a funny dance or something and then swapping it out with either myself or like funny characters or something. There's like literally no usefulness whatsoever other than like the memeability of it, but I've been having a blast playing with Vigil. And then going and generating a song with Suno and overlaying it over my Vigil video. So that's been a lot of fun. Excited to explore Llama 3 a little bit more. I haven't played with it a ton yet, but I'm really excited about the Llama 400 billion parameter model that they're still in the process of training, because that's the one that they claim is going to have multimodality and this monstrous context window, and a lot closer to what we can get out of GPT-4 and Opus. I just don't know when we're going to get that, but that's something I'm really, really excited to get, is that 400 billion parameter model. But yeah, that's Vigil and Suno are like the toys I've been playing with a lot lately.
Yeah, I gotta put myself in that little Yachty video if I can. I haven't used Vigil yet, but I love Lil Yachty and I want to do that so bad. I keep seeing the Joker. I'm like, no, I'm putting myself in there. But thank you.
I also realize how much of crazy people we sound like when we talk about tools like Suno and Vigil and Udio, and like, just imagine people overhearing this at a coffee shop and we're saying these words. Like, what the hell are we even saying anymore?
I know Udio. Oh my, I'm just calling it Udio. Forget that. But yeah, Vigil. Yeah, that's true. It does sound pretty crazy. But yeah, there's a lot to do. There's no shortage of things to play with. Blaine, did I ask you what you're looking forward to?
You haven't, but happy to chime in. That I'm with Matt, man. Like the fact that you can use these tools to like up your meme game, like just have hilarious lyrics to like realistic songs, and then have animated dancing, or like even like the Anna portrait stuff where you can have them lip sync to it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if people enjoy that stuff as much as I do, but holy crap, I sometimes die laughing at some of the stuff you can do there. As far as like upcoming, those that follow me know that, I kind of love bridging the gap between the generative AI stuff and the spatial computing stuff, right? Because Apple Vision Pro and all that. And so, got my eye on a few tools that do like full, 360 3D scene generation. I saw some stuff just announced this week. There's no code yet, but for generative scene creation, and then obviously we've got some of the object level 2D to 3D objects that you can just create and then bring into your spatial environment. I just think that's like, I don't know, man, I feel like Tony Stark or something when I'm doing that stuff. So that's kind of what I'm looking to.
I guess we better shout out Blockade Labs Skybox, because that their
Yeah.
Model 3 is pretty nice, at least for the for the 360 environment, and you can do 15 a month for free, but it will have the watermark on it. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
think, what was it, Tom Blake? He posted some stuff. He's in the house here,
Yep,
if
yep.
I
He
recall.
sure is. He sure is.
Um,
I posted a couple, and it's I just threw a Mid Journey prompt in there, and it picked which model I wanted, and it's amazing. The resolution, 4K or 8K resolution,
yeah, it's crazy clear. It's really cool.
man. So yeah, that's true. Well, thank you. We'll be coming back to you for more details of your experiments with that. And Salma, what you looking forward to this week?
Well, I'm going to be trying out Vigil and AirChat now that you guys have pretty much sold it to me. And then also looking forward to Stable Diffusion, seeing if they're going to drop the open weights. I do quite a lot of things with Stable Diffusion, so pretty much looking forward to that. And then also Adobe Premiere with the integration with Sora and Runway, but I'd imagine that's not until maybe the end of the year. But yeah, that's all really.
Okay, well, we did pretty good. It's 6 o'clock right now, or my Eastern time, so we're right on the hour. And I'll just say, for me, I'm going to continue animating. I just love animating different things and trying to see how I can do it on different platforms, and working on LTX Studio, Morph Studio, and all the animators. In then integrating that and seeing, I got to learn how to use Premiere Pro, goodness, or DaVinci Resolve, something. But I'm going to keep doing that. And I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. And I'll let you go. Have a great week. We'll be back next week, even if it's just for a short 30-minute space. But thank you all for coming. Please, drop something in the chat, plug yourself if you want to, say hello, and join us again next week.
Thanks,
Thank you, everyone.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye. Thank
Good
you.
night.